NBC Sports presents the American Le Mans Series. It's the 2001 season, and with the Great Le Mans Endurance Race drawing closer, competition has moved to Europe for the next 10 weeks. We're at Donington Park, England, about a 2-hour drive north of London, where Audi looks to extend its amazing streak of sports car dominance. Hello from cloudy and cool Donington, England. Alan Bestwick here with Bill Adam as the American Le Mans Series returns to NBC. The history of sports car racing is filled with periods of one manufacturer dominating the other, and it looks like we're expecting another dominant performance by Audi today.
I think it will happen, but this is something that we have to appreciate because it's like watching the best of the best. You see Tiger Woods, when he's at the best of his game, it's phenomenal. Or Michael Jordan, you just appreciate this level of excellence where they're kicking the whole game up to a new level.
But along with the strong Audis, we have a number of new and exciting things we'll see for the first time today.
And again, this goes with the level of excellence of this series. We have the great Celine S7, beautiful brand new car. BMW has unveiled a V8 M3, a car with a lot of potential. And of course, Chrysler unveiled their new LMP, a gorgeous race car, going very quickly too.
All that coming up just moments when we drop the green flag. First, let's get some stories from pit lane. Here are Martin Haven and Calvin Fish.
We're racing in England, and what else would you expect but questionable weather? And the question is whether or not it will rain. And that may close up things at the front of the field, because the only time these Audis R8 have been beaten in a race is when it rained heavily at the Nürburgring in Germany last year. Now, have they learned from that, or will the others have a chance of winning overall? That remains to be seen. It will close up the racing in the prototype class if it rains, but close racing has never been a problem down in the GT class. Calvin Fish has more.
That's right, Martin. We have a titanic battle shaping up this year in the GT category between the German powerhouses of Porsche and BMW. Porsche won the first two events at Texas and Sebring, but it was at Texas that BMW unveiled their brand new challenger. A new M3, but the kicker was no six-cylinder engine now, but a brand new 4-litre V8, and that has really ruffled the Porsche feathers. They feel that this car is not within the spirit of the regulations. Whatever the case may be, Frederik Ekblom used that power effectively yesterday to claim the pole position. All may not be lost for Porsche, however. When you have big power, that uses fuel, and here at Donington Park with a 2-hour, 45-minute race, Porsche can get by with just one stop. BMW, unless they get a lot of caution period, will definitely need two, and that's going to cost them about 40 to 50 seconds getting in and out of the pits.
All right, Calvin, Martin, thank you, and let's talk about the weather just quickly for a second. We did have a rain shower maybe 30 minutes ago. The race was declared a wet race. All the teams put on their rain tires. Now it's stopped raining, and that's going to throw the team's strategies into chaos at the start of the race. Donington Park is proving to be a very fun and interesting course for these sports cars. Bill Adam takes us for a tour around this 2.5-mile track. Like I said, a very interesting and challenging course for the drivers. 4 classes of cars competing in today's race in the American Le Mans Series. The LMP 900s, the purpose-built prototypes, got to weigh a minimum of 900 kilograms. They're rockets on wheels. New for this year, the 675, basically smaller versions of the prototype cars. GTS and GT, the production-based machines, the bigger displacement, more thoroughbred racing machines, the GTS cars, the GT, the closer to stock racing cars. And now let's take a look at our Audi starting grid for today's race here at Donington Park, England. Tom Christensen put the car on the pole, the Audi R8 continuing its dominant run in qualifying. On the outside of the front row, their teammate Frank Vila qualified that car. He'll start from the 2nd position. In row 2, it is Stefan Johansson in the customer Audi car. He crashed that at the end of qualifying yesterday. More on that in a minute. And the debut of the Chrysler prototype in racing with Olivier Beretta to start outside of row 2. The Peugeot Courage from the Pescarolo team from France starts in 5th position. In 6th, it'll be an Ascari. New look for us. We haven't seen this car in the States much. Werner Lupberger to start that machine on the outside of row 3. The Paytos team struggled in qualifying. Jan Magnussen back in 7th position. It is the customer Paytos car, last year's model, with Jay Cochran starting in 8th. Then the second of the Paytos factory machines in 9th position with Walter Solis to start that machine. Rounding out the top 10, one of the LMP 675 cars. This is a Nissan-powered machine with Martin O'Connell to start in the 10th position. Our GTS pole sitter is in the 11th spot overall. It's Oliver Gavin in the sleek Celine S7R. And the GT pole sitter is starting back in 14th position overall. One of those controversial BMW M3s with Frederik Ekblom qualified the car to starting. And the rest of the starting field, among the notables here, is the 12th starter. That is a brand new LMP 675 car from Dick Barber Racing. We'll tell you a little bit more about later in our broadcast. And the very last car in the field is the second of the BMW Works GT cars. They broke the engine warming it up before qualifying. JJ Lehto has to start last. He'll be fun to watch come up through the field. Getting set to go. Got some wonderful onboard looks for you today during our coverage. This is Stefan Johansson in that now repaired Audi R8. He starts in third position, stuffed the nose of it into the barriers on his cool-down lap after qualifying yesterday. We talked about the BMW and JJ Lehto starting last in the field. We'll ride on board with him as he tries to cut through traffic and catch his teammate in the Porsches for the GT class win. Speaking of Porsche, here's the Alex Job racing machine, the 23 car with Lucas Luhr starting. See third in class and 16th overall. And we'll also have a camera on board the pole-sitting Audi R8 with Tom Christensen. On board that machine, he will lead the field to the green flag just seconds from now. Field making its way around on its final parade and pace lap as we get set to go. This is a timed race. First one to get to the distance at the end of the scheduled time scores the victory. Cold racetrack, damp racetrack. They're on rain tires, Bill. What are the drivers thinking as they get set for the start?
They're thinking that they would rather be someplace else right now because a lot of them have gone to a soft setup, which is what you want for the rain. Now, the cars are on slick tires, but there has been some gambling. The brakes are going to be stone cold. They have to be careful. They're going to get a green and they're off.
Christensen edges out Bila on the brake into Redgate corner to take the lead. Here's Johansson up the inside with a bid for second.
Stefan Johansson has got a lot of incentive for this particular race because the Gulf colors are magic here in England. So many years John Wyer ran the famous Gulf Porsche team, having victories at Le Mans with Porsches and with Ford GT40s actually, but this car has got to be the sentimental favorite today.
GT standings, championship-wise, coming into the race, the BMW GT class points, Sasha Mawson, Porsche driver, along with his teammate Lucas Luhr holding down the first two spots. Randy Pobst and Christian Menzel, also Porsche drivers, in third position. And then Borisset and Hans Stuck, who are BMW drivers, are in the fifth positions. Among the missing in that graphic are the Star Factory BMW drivers who are on track here today.
And there is the star right there. That is the number 42 car that started at the back of the pack. And he's literally flying through the pack right now. He's just having great fun, dicing, cutting, flying around the track. He's able to use all of the horsepower that this new controversial 4-liter motor is putting out. And the Porsche guys are very upset about this engine. We're going to get a look here, just what he's seeing. Now that's the Porsche following. This is an incredibly fast car. Watch this coming off the corner. Little smoke right there. Hopefully that ends in engine smoke, maybe just brake smoke. He's exiting down. No, he's heading down towards the Melbourne hairpin, I believe. Yep. You're going to see him go over the crest of a little hill. Now he's steeply downhill. The Porsche close up under braking, turning in. Watch the G-force on the bottom. You can see over 1 and the acceleration 80, 90, 100. Very quick car. There's J-Jo at work.
Oh, trouble.
Panos. It looks like he's only hit a sign though.
That's the customer, Panos.
Yeah,
who has had a spin.
I think the car is perfect. He might just have come into contact with one of the braking markers and just shredded it.
That's Jake Cochran, who has got it back running. Have a look at it here and see what happened. Up, got off the track to his left.
On the curb, sliding in. Oh, boy. Ooh. Breakaway signs.
I hope nobody was planning on using that 200 marker as a break point.
The British version of an airbag.
Yeah, there you go. Cochran is back on track. Not apparently the worse for wear. He has fallen to the 8th position overall in that 2000 model Panos car.
Remember, Jake Cochran from years ago gave Ferrari the 333 its first ever win in North America. He won the race at Road Atlanta with that car, so Jay has a good experience with these LMP cars.
Here's your GT class leader. This is the team car, the BMW M3. That's Frederick Ekblom on board. First in GT, 14th overall, as you see there.
Now, just to explain more about why the Porsche drivers are so upset about this car, they're saying that you can't buy an M3 with a V8, which is correct. Nor can you buy any BMW with this particular V8. This is a custom-built, full-race motor. It's a beautiful piece of work. Looked at one in the pits, and it was very tiny.
Well, BMW's new 4-litre V8 motor, not a production engine, a purebred racing engine, caused problems to JJ Lehto and Jörg Müller's car in qualifying when they couldn't start it efficiently. And now in the race, the 43 sister car has struck a misfiring problem. It came in with only 5 cylinders of the 8 running cleanly, but they don't think it's a metal problem. They think it's an electricity problem. They're changing spark plugs, spark plug leads, spark boxes, in fact anything that'll give you a nasty shock in the hope that they will get the car back in. And the clue is that A, Schnitzer never gives up, and B, Frederick Ekblom hasn't even got out of the cockpit.
Well, it could be worse. We're in England, and you know how English electrics are, Mark.
I'm just not going there. I haven't had any problem with it so far. This is his teammate JJ Lehto, who has also had problems. We saw Lehto charging up through the field after the engine problem that kept him from qualifying started last, had moved up in 12 laps to within 3 seconds of the Porsche that is now leading the class, but then had to come down pit road.
Apparently it passed under a yellow flag, which is a caution flag, really. You want to take extra caution around the yellow flags. He apparently did the pass. We did not see it, but the officials wisely pulled him in, and you saw him throw up his hands in frustration.
Now Lehto is back on track, but he has fallen a good ways behind, 3:69, 18 seconds behind the leading Porsche in the GT class.
Once that is complete, we're going to see a tyre change as well. So Martin Haven, more news for
Dramatic scenes in the BMW pit. The 42 car came in with Jörg Müller at the wheel. They've completed a regular stop, but it's had damage on the right-hand side and now keeps bursting into flames around the exhaust exit port. Now the team are standing in place with fire extinguishers. The bizarre thing is that Jörg hasn't even turned the engine over at this stage. I'd expect a bit of flames back when he does start it up, but it doesn't seem to be related to the engine, so they have got a slightly more major problem than they thought they had when the car was half a lap away from the pits.
Martin, actually that is totally related to the engine. The flames were coming out the exhaust pipe. In fact, we can watch right now. There is something has broken in the fuel system, and instead of dumping small amounts of fuel into the cylinder, they must be getting giant amounts.
Fuel injection?
Fuel injection. I would say a pump is broken.
So problems for the BMWs. The other car, the team car, was out earlier in the race in the garage a couple of times with electrical system problems, and now this one for Jörg Müller with the fuel system going awry. Part of the growing pains of developing a new power plant that this team is struggling through.
BMW flamethrower.
It's 45 degrees and misty and foggy and somewhat rainy. Bill is from Miami. I'm living in North Carolina. I played golf in shorts on Tuesday of this week. This has been quite a shock to be over here for the last few days.
Yeah.
And it's been hard on these race cars, too. Watch one of the Panos cars there try to work his way up through the slower cars. Wow. That's got to be tough to be one of these GT drivers and have to, you know, you're trying to concentrate on driving the fastest lap that you can around the racetrack, but you have to be looking in the mirrors and give way to the prototype cars at the same time.
You really do. You can have some very short races by not watching the mirror. You take 2 cars out of the race and potentially very, very dangerous. So it does take an added element of skill for these drivers.
Sasha Mawson is on board that Porsche that is leading the GT class. Lucas Lohr started the machine. Right behind them, the somewhat beaten and battered number 42 BMW that had its problems on pit road with the fuel system we saw earlier.
Now, this should be a good indication of just how much horsepower this BMW's got. They're going to go through a hairpin right here, coming out of the front straight. Now let's see how the 2 cars compare. Well, that's not that bad. I don't see very much to complain about there.
Well, again, though, there was one of the prototype cars coming by on the right, and Müller, who's driving the BMW now, probably saw that, knew he didn't have any room to pull out to try a pass.
Okay, now watch telemetry down through here. These high-speed S's, look what he's pulling. 1.8 is the highest we saw. 130 miles an hour. Go through this corner, 1.6, and then back up here. Watch the acceleration, 100. Just over 1.3 again. So back up to almost 130. Now, tuck that away in your mind, and we'll take a look at one of the LMP cars to see what they do down through here. This is where the high-speed aero packages really make such a dramatic difference.
These GT cars are the closest thing to a production machine you'll get.
They are.
In this form of racing. They are obviously very heavily modified for racing, but it starts off as your basic production car.
Now, here we have BMW playing a game with Porsche. I'll guarantee that his team manager says, go out, sit on his tail, try to rattle him, try and get him to make a mistake. Don't worry about passing. Just get there and look, move to the left, move to the right, occupy the mirror. Smart move by the Porsche.
Now, the BMW is only probably, what, 30 laps behind him?
Exactly, and with Alex Job's experience here, he would probably radio out and say, let him go, don't take a chance.
Well, let's see exactly what he is behind him here. Looking down for where Jörg Muller is. He's 6 laps behind him.
That poor little car is really battered. You see both flares are missing down the right-hand side from the contact with one of the banks here. It's still spinning a lot. Maybe what it was one of the injectors might have been stuck while the car was stopped in the pits, allowed a cylinder to fill up with a lot of fuel, and as he turned it over, it couldn't possibly ignite it, but would push it down the exhaust pipe, and that's where it would ignite with the big flames.
We've talked a lot about the BMW GT car today, but let's talk about the Porsche. Steady, right on through the day, no problems. The one pit stop strategy going to make their way through the day. It's been a very flawless race for them so far.
It has.
GT class results now. It is a Porsche romp. All day, you see the top 6 spots, all Porsche GT3Rs. Sascha Maassen and Lucas Luhr taking the top spot. In fact, the top 9 spots, all Porsches. The BMWs both suffering their share of problems early and often during the race today. And a great job by the Porsche team. There's an old Spitfire.
Isn't that beautiful?
The history of Donington Park dating back some 70 years. It was an old airfield.
That's a great job landing that plane there, too.
Yeah, I'll bet that was tricky. Final results overall, it was Capello and Christensen scoring the win for Team Audi. The Audi sweep in the top 3 spots overall and in the prototype class. There you see the Peugeot-powered Courage chassis finished in 4th position, and the first of the Panos was the Privateer Panos that came ahead of the 2 factory cars who've both just had miserable weeks here in the East Midlands of England. And the final car in the field was that brand new Dick Barber Racing LMP 675. They suffered a variety of problems today. Be sure to join NBC Sports Sunday, July 22nd as our American Le Mans Series coverage continues from Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma, California. And don't forget the XFL playoffs kick off tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Tune in as the Rage battle the Demons for a chance to play in the coveted $1 million game. And tomorrow at noon Eastern, it's an NBA tripleheader. The Knicks battle the Sixers, then the Jazz versus the Timberwolves, and to top things off, the Blazers and the Lakers. The NBA on NBC tomorrow. For Bill Adam, Martin Haven, and Calvin Fish, I'm Alan Bestwick, thanking you for joining us for our coverage of the American Le Mans Series from Donington Park, England. The Audi team romped the field again with Tom Christensen and Dindo Capello holding the winner's trophy.